Hello everyone. Just continuing Shell's point, just remember one thing that if you are not so sure of what to do, maybe you just want to know one thing that you want to do a business in life, look at MBA as an insurance. You know that you're not going to go beyond a certain level of yearly income, even if your business fails. Because that's what a certain tier colleges assure you of. You get a certain level of income for your life. So you can also look at your B school as an insurance, if nothing, if you haven't planned anything as such. Coming to how to prepare for CAT, you know the general idea that there's an entrance examination, there will be a GD, there will be a PI. Let's not get into those things. The idea is, if you want to start preparing for examination, I would recommend one thing, that if I were to talk to a 20-year-old Aashay and tell him that, you know what, when to start 18 months before your examination. Take 1.5 years, start slowly, do not burn yourself out. So I'll recommend starting probably in May 2020 and start slowly with your fundamentals. By October, start focusing on your soft skills and reading stuff, building on your resume. You probably find out that your resume is half a page long and you want more points in it. Then you can now focus on building your resume. And then by May, you can start focusing on your mock PIs. Secondly, next slide, please. Now, you'll have lots of people to tell you how to prepare for entrance. I will not get into those things. I'll just tell you what not to do also. One thing that has worked tremendously for me is experimenting in the mocks. What I used to do was, in a mock, probably I'll attempt more than what I normally used to and see whether attempting more reduces my accuracy or not. Because eventually it's the number of marks I score, right? My accuracy does not matter. Sometimes I would experiment with taking pauses. In one mock, I took a literally 5-minute pause after a section so that I could regain my efficiency. Try, experiment. After every experiment, analyze what worked for you, analyze what didn't work for you, and then enhance yourself. So the idea is simple: give about 20-25 mocks, analyze and enhance. Secondly, if you're from vernacular background, you have issue in understanding or remembering the words, build flashcards and remember vocab by using flashcards and using them in your daily language. If you're worried about people judging you, remember, you're not in touch with most of your classmates from school life, right? They don't matter as such in your life anymore. If they judge you, it's okay. So right now, if anyone judges you in your class for misusing a word, it's okay. Just try and improve yourself because your growth matters a lot at this stage. Coming to cracking GDs, one thing I would recommend is building a multi-dimensional perspective. What I mean by multi-dimensional perspective is you do not want to just come off as an engineer who just gives an IT perspective that, let's use AI, ML and all. Probably you'll do it in a GD or two, you'll have 2 points to say and then you'll be blank. Rather, learn to bring in a legal perspective, learn to bring in perspective from from different multitudes. So this is where reading editorials will help. This is where reading actual news will help. Don't read in shorts, don't read just the headlines. You are not supposed to know the news. You're supposed to understand what's going on in depth. You're supposed to be able to tell in a GD that what would be the implication of a move that the government is planning to do. So yeah, widen your horizon and read non-fiction books. Do read. I know I was told by my mentors in Endeavor to read and I ignored them. I thought, okay, it's fine. But now in hindsight, I realize that reading editorials and reading non-fiction books would have been tremendously helpful. Coming to the preparation for interview, you probably should start building your CV a year before and start focusing on the hygiene questions. Hygiene questions being introduce yourself, where do you see yourself in 5 years, or why do you want to do an MBA, or why our college for that matter. So these are hygiene questions which probably every interviewer would ask you. Now, two things you need to realize is the entrance and GD are elimination rounds. They're looking to eliminate people so that they only have to interview a certain amount of people for the interviews. But the interview round is a selection round. Here they're looking for reasons to select you. Here your CV becomes a weapon that you can use. You are supposed to drive the interview. It's not a viva. It's a formal conversation. You're supposed to converse with them. Don't wait for them to find good points about you. Sometimes when they're going in a direction which is a weaker aspect of yours, shift the conversation to something which is your strong aspect. And that is what PIs are meant for, because they want to find reasons to accept you. So find your strengths, work on them, write them in your CV. And once you write any point in your CV, ensure that you are well versed in that CV point up to 3 level of questioning. So when I say 3 level, it means, for example, if you write, I did a course, I worked for, let's say, marketing in IST. Now, at that moment, they'll ask you what IST did, when was IST incepted, any question of that sort. So whatever you write, be prepared for at least 3 to 4 level of questioning, when, what, and why of everything that you've written. Now, you know how a PI is to be done. I will not go into those baby steps of it, but I'll rather recommend you to change your attitude during this 1.5 year of your preparation. Remember, you know nothing. You are starting at, it is not like JEE, it's a different ball game altogether. The people who are in this business for 10-15 years, they know much better than you. So learn to unlearn. If you know something, if you know one thing has worked for you, but if someone is saying exactly opposite thing, a different trick to solve a question, try, experiment in the next mock. Just remember that you know nothing. It's okay if you start at 90 percentile. Arya started at nothing, but eventually she ended up killing the Night King, right? So it's okay if you start at 90 percentile. My first mock, I scored about 92 percentile in Endeavor, something on those lines. And eventually I scored really good during my final main examination. So it's okay to start slowly and build yourself up. Remember the idea of compounding. A little effort right now will compound into a real good growth at the end of a year or two. Most importantly, learn to bend the knee. If you find a difficult question in the examination, learn to skip it. Don't be egoistic about it. Hey, I'm an engineer. I'm supposed to know quant. Hey, Gujarati chu. Maths to avade nahi mane. No, you're supposed to score. There are probably easier questions at the end of the set, and you will now get to those questions because you're stuck up, you being egoistic about the question. I used to do that often. So learn to bend the knee, learn to let go, learn to identify topics that are not your forte. For example, number system isn't your forte because there are way too many formulas. It's okay. Learn to do those questions in the head of the set because your objective is to maximize the score. Lose the battle to win the war. All right. The queen had to go, right? He loved her, but he had to kill her, right? So what works for cat may not work for IFT. What worked for IFT for me was attempting a lot of questions because I knew I could not improve my accuracy. So I attempted way too many questions. That trick did not work for Z because Z, it's all about accuracy. There are not so many questions to attempt. So learn to improve, learn to let go of your previous strategies, however great they may be. Secondly, chaos is not a ladder. If at any point you realize you're burning out, you're tired, it's everybody's working hard, you're not able to work hard anymore, it's okay. Take a break. Don't study for a week or two. It's okay. You can take breaks. It's okay. It's not a race against your immediate peers. You're fighting against all of India here. You just need to work on your efficiency. And yeah, Littlefinger's murderer, Arya, no. I think Littlefinger's murderer was his complacency. He thought no one can touch him. This is where this is what I want you to understand, that the smartest people make this mistake of being complacent, that, they're right, nothing can happen to them. Don't be complacent at any stage. You're scoring great and you're topping probably in the city. It's okay. If you are just topping in the city, you still have to fight all of India. Time ki mock do ek bar, time ki mock mein tumhe pata chalega, your rank is way too less because your harder mock all of India is giving them. Endeavor is probably just in a certain region of India, it is a larger target market. Coming to building that attitude, I'll tell you one more thing that worked for me. It's a trick that I think all of you need to realize is negative marking is not a deterrent, right? So I'll tell you why. For example, if you're not able to eliminate all 3 of them, and if you just eliminate 2 options out of 4, find 10 such questions, randomly guess them. There's a 98% chance you won't lose marks. Calculate that probability to eliminate 2 questions out of 4 and calculate when will you lose marks. There's a 98% chance you won't lose marks. If it's a +3 -1 scheme, there's a 95% chance you'll gain marks. Understand this philosophy. It's okay to guess even if you cannot eliminate 3 options. So learn to increase your attempts, learn to build the right balance between accuracy and number of attempts. All right, that's it from my side.